We're going to have a problem with Jack Welch. There's going to be a problem.
What are you talking about?
Well, he's not, he's extended his, he was going to, of course, the official position here on this program was that he shouldn't retire, period. What's the point?
Yeah.
So they have three losers now who they haven't picked any of there's three people who are in contention to succeed Jack Welch at GE. And he's pledged to name one of them in the next couple of months. But, well, I guess if you don't get it, what do you do if you don't get it? Then you leave the company, right?
Well, you just have to go dig a hole somewhere. If you're one of the three in contention and you don't get it, you disappear.
Yeah. In fact, I have their names here.
You just go away.
Yeah, you just
dive off 30 Rock. Oh, absolutely.
But Jack is on 60 Minutes last night. That's just a troubling appearance, by the way.
Yeah.
Has Leslie Stahl had a facelift or something?
I don't know.
She looks like she's about 25 years old. Have you seen her?
She's absolutely, she looks great. But I don't know what to attribute that to.
Well, all right, well, here are the guys who are going to, here are the finalists in waiting. Jeffrey Immelt, I-M-M-E-L-T, he'll not get it because he can't pronounce his name. James McNerney and Robert Nardelli. And Welch says he's still going to announce in the next 8 weeks his plan which of the three will succeed him. But now whoever wins will spend his first year under Jack's thumb, not to have been anyway.
Yeah.
So,
and the two also ran.
McNerney kind of has the edge. He runs the aircraft engine business, and now that GE has bought Honeywell. Our old friend Gerald Roach says, God, I haven't seen him in about 20 years, at least. He's a headhunter guy,
Yeah.
He says you could blindfold Welch and throw a dart at any of the three guys and still be okay. But either Immelt, get a hold of and Santa, find out how to pronounce these guys' names.
Right away.
McNerney, that's pretty easy. And Nardelli, that's pretty easy. But, well, if you're one of the, if you're not selected, you got to leave, don't you? They all run divisions of the company. But, I mean, if Jack doesn't pick you...
Well, good grief. Every water cooler, every office pointing and whispering and something.
But if you're even considered, you could go run something else, but why would you want to leave GE? You wouldn't.
Except for the humiliation factor.
But the problem is, with these executives, and there's a little chart here in Newsweek, in which they describe them as monarchs, generals, ambassadors, and governors.
Yeah.
And a guy by the name of Jeffrey Sonnenfeld divides CEOs into four categories based on how they behave when handing over the reins. Monarchs, they think no one can replace them. They're either overthrown or they die in office. Example, Arm & Hammer, Occidental Petroleum. Generals, they leave reluctantly and then plot comebacks, often during times of company turmoil. Example, William Paley at CBS.
Mm-hmm.
Ambassadors, they step aside gracefully and remain as trusted confidants to their successor. An example would be Andy Grove of Intel.
Okay.
And governors, they serve a term and leave willingly to pursue new interests. Example, Jim Clark of Silicon Graphics and Netscape. So, how will Jack behave?
I would think, I don't know. I was going to say ambassador, but
he'll step aside.
But in times, if there should be some sort of turmoil, I imagine that he would be available.
Why would you want to succeed Jack Welch, whoever you were? You just
step into those shoes. Try to.
How do you pronounce the guy's name, Ron?
Which one?
Immelt or what?
Immelt, yeah, just Immelt.
Immelt?
Yeah.
Who's going to get it?
Nobody knows yet. It's Mr. Immelt, in published reports, was said to have the inside track, I believe was the quote they used in the Journal a week or so ago, but nobody's really sure.
According to Newsweek, now that because of the Honeywell deal, now
Nardelli?
McNerney will have it.
McNerney, yeah. Huh.
Now, if you don't get this, do you have to leave the company?
No, it's expected each of the two gentlemen who don't get it probably would, because either one could run a Fortune 500 company.
It would be so humiliating, right?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
why would they leave then?
Well, just because all three probably want the opportunity to run a large company. All three are well trained. All three kind of understand how to run already companies that on their own would be in the Fortune 500 if they weren't part of GE. So they could go off and do that and, have the autonomy that comes with being CEO.
But nobody's going to be able to replace Welch. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Well, Jack argues quite differently. I mean,
I'm sure he does.
Yeah. He argues that it's a process, not a person.
Trying to be gracious, but I mean...
Well, look, I mean, if you talk to the man, it's very interesting the way in which he has a grasp of even the most minor details of a business. When I first got to CNBC and I met him, he knew more about CNBC when it was a flea speck inside of GE than the guys who were running the company at the time.
That's cool. Was he doing sitting home watching TV and he should be worrying about other stuff?
No, I guess, since the 60 Minutes piece last night, they were talking about how he multitasks and watches TV and reads and does a lot of things at the same time.
Well, did you see the 60 Minutes thing on him?
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Kind of like, I mean, somebody over there at 60 Minutes has got some GE stock, don't they? God almighty.
Well, look, I mean, the guy's taken, the company from basically a very small market value to $500 billion in 20 years. And
didn't it look to you as though, Leslie, we're coming on to him a little bit?
No, I don't think so at all.
You're naive.
You gotta wake up.
You really gotta wake up.
People have said I'm naive.
Oh. All right, we'll call you back if something comes up.
I'll be around.
I felt some tension there, frankly. Well, absolutely. Please. I heard Jane Welch. I stopped writing me little snippy notes and started taking care of business at home. I started making sure Jack is happy. What I do. That's probably enough on Jack Welch. Bo Dietl, Boomer Esiason, and Fred Imus. Richard Nixon and Matt Well. Jack Welch, who's his GE, he was on 60 Minutes last night, and it was very difficult to watch this segment because clearly Leslie Saul was coming on to him. There was no doubt right there. And Jack, of course, was able to, deflect her entree. Yeah, maintain his dignity. Yes, absolutely. Jack was set to retire at GE, which now he's changed his mind because of the Honeywell deal. He's postponed his retirement until January 2001. Right, yeah. And the three guys Jeffrey Immelt, James McNerney, and Robert Nardelli are the three guys who are, according to Newsweek, and we talked to Rod and Santa from CNBC, they are the three the three stooges. One of them is going to be named to replace Mr. Welch. Yes. The other two, of course, will be humiliated beyond. Why you? I gotta. So, I guess they all three had various divisions of GE. So. Yeah. Because Jack's already decided on one of them, you know that. Of course. Hasn't told anybody yet. Just he didn't put it in a memo form. Yeah. According to Newsweek, the Immelt was considered to have the inside track, but now because of the Honeywell deal, McNerney is apparently taking over the inside track. Well, I guess, but there's just no way to know, of course. Yeah. But the speculation is that we're going to have a problem with Jack. And he's never going to go away as he handcuffed himself to his desk as he continues to extend that deadline. Oh, yeah. So, well, I've decided now that another 6 months to really ride herd on this Honeywell thing. I believe. I'll be going out in probably July. July rolls around. Well, I don't know. Well, if you saw him on 60 Minutes, why would he? I mean, I don't know. He's retiring because, well, we don't know why he is, but he either wants to, or he's tired of it, or he wants to. But I can't imagine that he is, can you? Why would you want to step down from that gig?
I don't know. When you've amassed the kind of record that you have in that position, and the global respect.
In addition, why would you want to succeed him?
And subject yourself to the possibilities. Oh, my God. First thing that goes sour.
And he'll retain some, obviously, connection with the company, so
he'll be back in there with a ball peen hammered.
Yeah. No.
Come on. What are you thinking about? Move over. Let me sit down.
I remember old Paley over at CBS is...
Oh, sure.
Making adjusting the painting stuff in his office and trying to work.
No. That's not the one.
So potentially we could have some ugliness here. Well, we already have some ugliness.
Yeah.
So even they might suppose to name one of these three stooges.
Yeah.
The next couple of months. So they'll be named, but there won't be much for them to do other than just because Jack's going to stay there.
They'll just be named.
Yeah. When did you say he's going to leave?
I think January 2001.
Well, that's not 8 months. That's only a couple of months.
2002.
Well, then that's a year and a half. Gee, he must be talking about July, doesn't he?
We'll review that for you, man.
Well, let's find out when he's going. Well, you know something, you probably know about as much as anybody else does. He's probably got everybody so confused about when he is going to leave.
January 2002. December 2001. Thanksgiving.
What? Things change.
Well, of course, circumstances change.
So this Honeywell thing doesn't go down as smoothly as planned?
Well, it could extend for 5 years out.
Well, there could be some stuff that needs his attention, certainly. And one of these other guys will just have to cool his heels until Jack makes that final decision.
Insanable guy.
When's he going to leave in Santa?
As he said, January 2001. He was scheduled to depart in April of 2001.
Yeah.
So that's an extra 8 months.
Well, when's he leaving now?
January 2001. He's adding 8 months to oversee the transition in the Honeywell acquisition.
But January 2001 is a couple of months from now.
I'm sorry, January 2002. Right.
Well, he's staying another year.
Yeah, but he was scheduled to stay till April of 2001. So he's adding 6 months onto that.
Adding 6 months to the April 2001.
Oh, well, this is ridiculous. He's not going anywhere.
It's a $45 billion acquisition.
Well, fine, but...
You don't just buy the company and walk away. I mean, that would not be the best strategic thing to do. Just, leave after you've made the biggest acquisition.
Well, can you turn over to Imus?
Well, how come one of these...
Tyranny.
I mean, one of these three... So what if something happened to him, God forbid? What would he do then?
Now, let's say you were going to stop doing your very fine program. And you just didn't show up one day and the next guy sits in your chair.
Right.
It's not going to work. You bring the guy in.
Eventually it'll work.
Well, eventually. But wouldn't it be better if you brought the guy in, integrated them into the system, teach him how it works from the CEO vantage point as opposed to being the head of one of the divisions, get them accustomed to it. There's a big learning curve with a job that big. They're going to go from revenues of about $112, $115 billion to $130 to $140 billion. That's not a small deal.
We're talking with Ron Insana, the financial guru from CNBC, which, as I've been pointing out, is owned by GE.
Well, I'm not being an apologist for the company. I'm just explaining the process here. We are independent-minded, as you know.
Well, if he were going to leave in April, then, I mean, the other guy would have his feet on the ground by then, wouldn't he? So he has to cool his heels now from April until next January, a year through January.
6 months transition for a company that large?
No. But he was already planning to leave in April. That's my point.
Well, I'm saying if I could be named until the end of this year, somewhere between now and the end of the year, that would give him...
How to do it right before Christmas, so it ruins the other two guys' whole holiday thing. The two guys that don't get it ought to do it. They're going to do it like on... What's the GE Christmas party if they have one?
Their lives will not be ruined.
Of course they will.
They're going to run very large companies.
They didn't get the game.
No. Hello, Ron. if you're one of the three guys that Jack Welch is picking to run GE, and you're only one of them is going to get it, the other two guys just say it ruins their life. What are you talking about?
Ruins their life.
What are they going to run Sunbeam or something? Or,
No. Look,
what do they do?
Larry Bossidy was a senior executive at General Electric Corporation. He went and ran Allied Signal, which eventually merged with Honeywell, which was sold back to General Electric Corporation. There's a lot of stuff going on.
No. Hello, Jack. Ron.
I'm not Jack.
If Jack Welch doesn't pick you to run GE, you are a loser. You are a loser.
Let me put it this way: he's not picking me to run GE.
No, I understand. You know what I'm saying. I meant if you're one of the three guys, ML's Nardelli or McAsnuckle, if you don't get named, you're worse than a net.
And your names are out there, and we know that you're being considered, and you don't get it. Oh my God!
And it's just like you just stamped a big loser on your forehead.
Oh yeah, here you are.
Loser.
When they go to run two other Fortune 500 companies, what do you say then?
They're not running GE.
They're not running GE. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Jack didn't pick them.
GE.
The genius corporate manager of our lifetime, of the 20th century, of corporate America, passed you over. So we'll let you run our company, even though Jack didn't think you could run his. What are you, nuts? Oh, God almighty. You put that on your resume, yeah? Well, Jack didn't think I could run GE, but how about if I run your company? Well, why? Why would we let you run our company if Jack didn't want you to run his?
Thanks, we'll look elsewhere.
Well, I'm sorry. We have some other people we'd like to talk. We'll get back to you. Leave your number with a woman out there. Leave your number with a girl today.
Your number with respect.
We'll get back to you.
Some mornings you just
No, but tell me I'm not right.
You're not right.
I swear to God I'm right. You know, and everybody on Wall Street knows I'm right.
No.
Believe me, I'm not too listening to me.
Three of the most talented executives in the country.
And two of them are going to be losers.
No, two of them are going to run big companies.
No, two of them Jack's going to pass. Two of them Jack's going to say I don't think so. That's how that's going to work. Isn't that right?
Sure. I innocently came on to clear up some confusion that you had when you turned this into a diatribe.
Well, okay.
We've considered your qualifications.
Then you are not going to run the company. Nardelli is. Or whatever. Emwell. Oh, man. What a nightmare. You don't want to be one of those. First of all, you don't want to succeed Jack Welch. That's the first thing you don't want to do.
Well, look, I mean, with this acquisition, one, they've just boosted their profits by $1 billion a year, which helps to maintain the valuation of the firm.
Right.
They've also added a rather sizable sum in terms of revenues.
Right.
So the company's still growing. I mean, the next gentleman will certainly have a great deal of challenges. And
the other two won't. Two of them won't. The other two won't have any challenges.
You have been voted off.
That's exactly what's happening. They're voted off the island.
Every morning in his mind, he could see him arrive. He stood 6'6" and weighed 240.
Here now from CNBC is Ron in Santa. Good morning, Mr. Insana.
good morning, Mr. Imus.
Now, do you understand? Here's my question.
Okay.
In naming, by the way, the Dow was up 245 points yesterday.
Yes, it was.
NASDAQ down 86 and change.
Yeah, it is.
In naming successors,
Yes.
Jack Welch in selecting the successor at GE, why wouldn't they just name somebody? Why identify these three people, setting two of them up to be...
This is a GE tradition, actually. If you go back and look at the history of Mr. Welch's succession to the top at CE, the process for him to gain the CEO title was very similar to the one being undertaken today. There was a rigorous competition among many of the senior executives there.
What was the competition? What the competition about? They have to take tests?
No.
On an obstacle course?
Performance-based stuff.
Oh, I see.
How's your division doing?
Right.
How well are you running the operation? What innovations have you provided? that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the same story 20 years ago when Jack ultimately took over. It was a very intense competition.
Did it come down to two or three people?
Yeah.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who were the other two people?
Oh, God, off the top of my head, I wouldn't know.
Can you find out?
I could find out.
So you think Superero would know?
Oh, that's nice. Of course they would know. But, these gentlemen are, as far as I know, probably no longer with the firm, but...
That's what we want to know. What happened to them?
Yeah, 19, so,
What happened to the two people? If Jack was in the running with two or three or whatever number of other people, what happened to them when he was named? What did they do?
I could find that out.
Could serve as a precursor to what might happen with these two guys.
who are going to be losers in this.
No, there's no L here. As we discussed.
Of course there is.
No, there.
Well, you're just being naive.
I'm not being
We've already addressed this. Two guys aren't going to make it. Two guys are not going to be selected by Jack Welch to run GE. What more do you want? I mean, I don't know how to explain this to you.
Well, they will have the option, of course, of staying with the company and running very successful divisions. All three gentlemen are showing very strong performances in the last year.
Wait for the other guy. Wait for the guy who has to try to fill glass shoes for that thing to blow up. And meanwhile, they're wandering around with the Groucho glasses because they don't want to be recognized. Yeah.
Many headhunters believe they could also go run other Fortune 500 companies. And, there have been a few vacancies lately at some big telecommunications companies.
There's going to be a AT&T.
Well, that, remains to be seen. There's certainly one at Lucent,
Have you talked to Armstrong lately?
I interviewed him last week.
He thinks, that's right. He thinks everything is fine, right?
He said he's in complete support of the board.
Stock's gone to hell, and all his options are out the window, and he thinks everything took the car away from him, and he thinks everything's fine, right? Man, you talk about people who are just somewhat... I mean, here's the problem. If me and Chuck are sitting here and know what's going on, that's pitiful. And that's pitiful, and of course, you're feigning ignorance, and we know you know what the deal is. And we know that you know that we're right about this whole situation, this mess of GE.
Well, the way I would disagree with you in both tone and substance.
Why are we waiting? By the way, why is Jack waiting 8 weeks?
Well, this is, we're coming to the end of the year.
What's going to happen in the next 8 weeks to help him determine which one of these guys to select and the other two, which would effectively ruin their lives?
Well, as far as I know, this has always been the timetable. They were going to name a new CEO in the fourth quarter of the year 2000, and that's where we are.
That's right.
Right. There's nothing new about that.
Here's your assignment this morning.
Yes, sir.
Go find out who was in the running with Jack when Jack was selected, and then what happened to them.
I can do that right now.
And where they are now. Jack is, of course, the corporate manager genius of our generation and perhaps of the 20th century.
That is altogether possible, yes.
Yeah. So he's the model. So whoever made that decision by selecting Jack knew what the hell they were doing, and one would assume Jack would be the same.
Well,
Jack will have the same.
Well, look, all three guys,
if he ever leaves,
I love complex businesses. What was that? I'm sorry?
If he ever leaves, there's no guarantee. No guarantee.
And don't, you've read his reports of what he will do to the person who suggests that he is hanging on too long.
Yeah.
I suggest you heed those.
What did he say he would do?
I believe he made some physical threat. But
I think so, really? Yeah. Well, bring it on, you bald little weasel. You're not going to
use his age in golf.
I think he's going to do anything.
So if I can take you, he can take you.
Yeah. Well, he also has to take Jimmy the Wag. That's a combo doodle. No, he's going to be taking anybody.
Don't be hiding behind somebody with a gun.
No, I don't have to.
Yeah, I know.
Here's another situation.
In the pistol, didn't you hold up a bullet in your office and say it had my name on it?
Yeah. Here's something else we have to consider. Sumner Redstone is 76.
Yeah.
And he's still got all the cylinders firing over there at Viacom. He's not going anywhere.
Well, he didn't have to. He's the majority stockholder over there.
And Jack's 64.
Yeah.
So why does Jack have to leave?
Well, it's been a tradition at General Electric that the CEO depart at age 65. His predecessor did that. Jack has promised to. There's been a wrinkle here, a complication insofar as he's acquiring Honeywell.
Come on, that's laughable.
Well, it's a $40 billion acquisition.
It's still fine, but I mean,
what do you just?
One of the guys Jack was going to name can't handle a deal. If we don't have anybody at GE who can handle this transition to Honeywell, then we really are in trouble. The wheels are off. If Jack has to stay on to handle that deal, what about the next deal and the next deal and the next deal?
Didn't we talk about smooth succession?
No, I understand that.
Yeah. So you think it ought to work that way?
Well, I think he ought to stay, frankly. I mean, I don't
there are plenty of people who'd love to see that. I mean,
that's any point.
Wonderful boss, and but
there's no reason for him to get. There's nobody in the company who I've ever talked to who doesn't like the guy, by the way, either professionally or personally. I mean, he's got rid of a lot of people, but then that's you got to run the company.
But the other thing is, net GE's employment base now is higher than it was 10, 15 years ago.
No, that's fine.
So over 340,000 people domestically.
Well, he's well liked by everybody.
Yeah.
And he's obviously done a great job. Why are we torturing old Immelt Nardelli And the other clown.
Not being tortured. One of the presumed front runners will likely end up with the position.
Yes, and the other two will be the other two's lives will be ruined.
They'll have the option of staying with the company and running very big businesses, which on their own would be Fortune 500 companies.
Yes.
Or they can go run another Fortune 500 company, which is the presumption.
Yeah, but they would leave the company.
That's when
why did they leave the company? Because they were angry, wouldn't they? Because they had been passed over by Jack. That's why they'd leave.
Well, this is a spirited competition, and there's only one CEO spot.
And somebody's going to be pissed off when it's over. Angry and hurt. Oh, absolutely. Going to be in a comment.
When did that ever bother you?
What?
When did that ever bother you? The notion of them
I didn't say that. We're just making an observation. What's going to happen? And you're so naive.
I am not naive.
Cover up for everybody and deny this.
Oh, it's PC deal.
Yeah, politically correct Ron and Santa.
I deny a cover-up.
Well, go find out that other information for me, would you please?
I will do that right now.
Call me back.
Who will obey?
All right, that's very nice. Ron and Santa from CNBC here on the Imus Morning program. It's 22. FDR. Well, I'm sorry that the program has degenerated into this ugliness, but I mean, we'd be remiss if we didn't bring it to your attention. So that's the New York Stock Exchange Business Report, sponsored by the New York Stock Exchange.
And a signed one, by the way.
Thank you, man. Happy birthday to Dan. This morning program. Well, earlier this morning we're talking about with Ron and Santa about the situation at GE, the succession process. Right. Yeah. And Jack Welch has named these three guys: Immelt, McNerney, and Nardelli. Manny, Mo, and Jack. So one of them is going to be named to succeed him. And my question for Ron and Santa was that the same process that Jack went through? And he said it's very similar. So what happened to the guys who were in the running with Jack when Jack was named 20 years ago, whenever it was? And here apparently with that information from CNBC is Ron and Santa. Good morning, Mr. and Santa.
Good morning, Mr. Imus.
What's the deal?
All right. Well, I checked, did a little research, and there were three gentlemen, principals, who competed with Mr. Welch for the top spot back in 1980.
Yeah.
One gentleman, Ed Hood, who was a vice chairman at the time, actually stayed on for a while. He stayed on the board, and then left. John Burlingame.
Where did Ed Hood go?
Don't have that information, but he actually stayed with GE for a time.
Right,
I believe.
He's blowing out. Yeah. Right.
John Burlingame was a vice chairman. He was an older gentleman, just stayed till he retired.
Right. He didn't get it, and he just played it off like kind of a Douglas MacArthur deal. Okay. A dog tart deal.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay. Tom Vanderslice left, went to General Telephone, GTE, and then eventually went on to a venture capital firm as well. Did very well for himself. Now,
Tom Vanderslice is not, he's not the corporate genius of the 20th century, is he? Jack Welch is.
Well, that happens once in a while.
Until this moment, had you ever heard of Tom Vanderslice? No. Well, there you go. Had you?
No.
Well, so it's your job.
I was 19 when this stuff was going on.
Oh, whatever. But my point is that even now, where's Tom Vanderslice now?
He went to a venture capital firm. Well, it's not a bad life, by the way. I don't know if you guys have ever seen how venture capitalists do investing in startups.
Oh, I'm sure they do fine, but that's not the barometer. How much money they make. Well, it's the cachet. Well, come on.
Now, to challenge your assertion of earlier in the morning, however, with branding any of these gentlemen with an L on their foreheads, there have already been a half a dozen companies who have publicly said they will hire whomever does the
You don't get it. You don't get it.
They're going to get bought out on their GE options and they fold, and then get an entirely rich package.
It doesn't. What does that have to do with anything?
Well, they already all life works, man.
They already all have more money than they know what to do with. I mean, they can't spend the money now. That's not. It's not about the money.
Do you suggest that GE create an office of the chairman and have 3 CEOs?
No, I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm suggesting that first of all, I'm suggesting that Welch stay on. Where's he going? What's he need to do? Nothing.
Well, look, he's publicly stated that he will depart at the appropriate time, which is roughly age 65.
Change his mind. It's ridiculous. If Summer Redstone can still run things at 76, well, certainly Jack Welch can. Did you see him on 60 Minutes? He looked fine to me. The guy's out shooting scratch golf.
Sumner's got voting control of the company.
Well, whatever.
It's basically his shop. Jack is a employed CEO who serves at the pleasure of the board.
If Jack wants to say, believe me, they'll let him say.
Well, I think he'll be within the next 8 weeks naming a successor.
And the other 2 people will be. Well, I tell you what, they'll be relegated to Tom Vanderslice and Ted Hood.
Okay. Stanley Galt used to work at General Electric. Went on to run Rubbermaid. Turned the company around, did very well.
That's great.
Larry Bossidy
Trash cans.
worked at GE.
What in the hell? You hand somebody your car, what do you do? Well, I'm running Rubbermaid. I'm running Rubbermaid. You need a spatula? You might as well work for Trojan. Oh, God, Lord. All right, we make rubbers.
That's great.
You don't get it.
Ed Hood, John Burningate.
God, we rest our case. Ed Hood, John Burlingsnizzle, and Tom Vanderwiener. I rest my case.
I think life will be a little bit different this time around for the other two gentlemen.
Well, we'll
very
see.
high-profile stuff.
Well, okay.
You know, go back 20 years, though. Did business news coverage get the type of attention then that it gets now?
Of course not. No, you have some jerk like me talking about it. Of course
you
not.
guys are spreading this up over the
I mean, it's a
million people know the names of Jeff Imus, Mr. McNearney, and Mr. Nardelli.
Yeah.
It's a different game. They're too high profile. They don't ride off into the sunset now. They
don't. No, now they. And my question is that certainly Mr. Welch and everybody else knew that what would happen. So why subject these people to that? Why not? See, that's my whole point. Why not just name a successor quietly and not hold these other? Because however it shakes out, two of them are going to be enormously disappointed.
Sure. Don't forget that GE has never named the front runners. This has been speculation on the part of the financial press, who presumably are informed about the process.
Well, has anybody asked Jack?
Of the three guys.
Has anybody asked Jack?
If they're the three?
Yeah.
He's never commented publicly on that.
He wouldn't?
No.
How do you know? Have you asked him?
We've asked him.
You did ask him?
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, we've had several interviews.
What did you ask him?
Business Week, a whole host of different organizations.
They asked him who he's going to name as a successor. What does he say?
They're not going to comment on that until the process is done. And they've never once answered that question.
And they haven't answered whether these three are in the running or not.
I don't believe I've ever seen an official comment from the company that suggests that the names are accurate. Certainly they've never denied it either. But they've never officially put out announcements that, okay, these are the three front runners, and we'll pick.
Well, no, they're not going to issue a press release. We know that.
No, I don't believe they've ever said that publicly.
Has anybody asked any of these three losers if they're...
I believe they've not been reached for comment every time they come up.
They're not in their office?
Well, I'm sure they're in the office, but
well, they're not picking up the phone.
They're not going to answer that
Oh,
phone.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks.
Well, I think you're impressed with the speed with which I worked to serve you this morning?
No, not really.
Not at all. Not even one book mentioned today?
Absolutely it is. Bump and Run, Mike Livingston's new football album. No, number 15 on the Barnes & Noble bestseller list. BarnesandNoble.com. And it's the semi-tough for the year 2000. Have you read Lupica's book yet, by the way?
I have not. I'll send him a copy if he sends me one.
It's pretty funny.
All right.
Bump and Run. And your book's great, too, and whatever it's called.